Am I the a-hole for saying that it's my sister's fault her husband is divorcing her? My 27 female sister, 32 female, is currently in the process of divorce started by her husband, 40 male. They were married for a total of 2 years. But the problem started with brother-in-law wanting his own biological kids. I'll explain later. And my sister not wanting them. She was always against having kids, but the moment they started seeing each other, she started making certain changes about herself. He had a courtesy of telling her quite early where he wanted the relationship to go, and my sister at that point went from no to maybe to one day, and then yes. They got married. But maybe the realization finally hit her when we went to meet our cousin who had given birth. Yes, a new mother's body is not exactly the epitome of sexy because pregnancy does things to a mother's body. I could tell sister was detracting. And it was still early in the marriage when I asked her to reconsider and end the marriage now before it's too late. She was adamant that she wanted a child, but I could tell she was flaky. She never talked to me, but she would talk to our mother, and I would hear from her how brother-in-law was still going on about wanting a child, but she's not feeling like wanting a child anymore. Oh boy. A month ago, brother-in-law reached his limit and finally asked sister to be upfront, and she straight up told him she does not want to be a mother and started offering alternatives like adoption. Brother-in-law did not want to hear any of that, and sister came to live with us. As to why brother-in-law wants biological children, he was previously married and has 2 children. Then he found out that neither of them are biologically his. He pays child support but does not see the kids anymore. Understandable. Sister also knew this, but maybe love blinds people. She is here bawling her eyes out because brother-in-law started the divorce proceedings and does not want any sort of compromise. Parents have been giving brother-in-law crap for days now, and so is sister now about how stubborn he is, and wish she could see it before. It got annoying to a point where I told her that it was her fault that she was not ready, lied to him, and now expect him to accommodate, fully knowing his side, and that her foolishness impacted the life of 2 people. Now they're angry at me for taking his side. Am I the a-hole? If so, what can I do to make it right? I'm not going to retract my words because they're exactly what she did. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She lied to her husband by pulling a bait and switch on him. That's really shady. She's getting what she deserves for doing that and just can't accept that. All you did was tell her the truth. These aren't the type of things you can just change your mind on when you marry someone. At least without consequence. She needs to commit one way or another because waffling on something as high gravity as this will doom her relationships to failure now and in the future. Props to you, Opie, for giving your sister a hard dose of reality. Did she pull a bait and switch, or did the reality hit her that she didn't want to go through pregnancy? Yes, that is possible. But she still didn't tell her husband that she had changed her mind. He had to confront her to even get her to tell the truth. Everyone sucks here except brother-in-law. This is a deal breaker for him. Ed is making the right choice. Compromise either way would only breed resentment and ruin what's left of their marriage. It's better and more responsible to cut it off now so they can find people who are fundamentally more compatible. Your sister definitely should have been honest. This is a situation of her own making because she tried, out of love, to want something she does not want. However, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to rub salt in her wounds, and you've done her no favors for it. Your parents need to stop blaming brother-in-law. She doesn't need to forgo biological children just because she doesn't want them. He's not wrong for making this choice. It'd only be wrong if he tried to force her into pregnancy after she'd outright said no. He didn't. She made herself clear, so he left. That's unfortunate, but that's all it is. Real true support does not come from blasting the other person for the things they want for themselves. Less focus on him, more on her. And you learn to read a room. Tact is a valuable resource, and given that this is a sensitive subject, you should take your hints from that and be sensitive. There's nothing at all to be accomplished from telling her truths like that. You should apologize. Not because you stated something untrue, but because you were unwittingly or otherwise cruel to a family member who is already suffering. That was very well put. I agree with everyone sucks here. Unless you were directly asked for your opinion, Opie, then what you have done is kicked someone while they were down. You don't have to lie to her, but you don't have to wield the truth like a hammer either. She will get plenty of that in the divorce proceedings. Info. How do you know that your sister wasn't lying to herself and telling her husband what she believed was true at the time? Given what you have said about her freaking out about what pregnancy does to a woman's body and suggesting adoption, it sounds like your sister is opposed to giving birth, not to having children, and maybe she initially thought she could push past that fear for something she wanted with her husband. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her being a stay-at-home mom is a joke and she's just selfish? I want to make it clear I'm not slagging off being a stay-at-home mom, just my sister's version of it. I know how much hard work it is and I'm not putting anyone down for it. But my sister really does just sit around doing nothing all day, while somebody else does all the work, and then whines about how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom, and I've had enough of it. My sister Carol, 26 female, and I, 24 female, have always been polar opposites, so we do clash on quite a few things, but generally we are close. She has 2 kids, Rose 6 female and Ty 7 male, and I have a son Oz 2, and they're really close. Carol has always been a stay-at-home mom ever since she left school, and never had a job, whereas I've always been career-driven. My job's hours can be long and irregular, but I love it. Though if ever say I'm tired or I've had a hard day, Carol has to one-up me and say how she's even more tired or has had an even harder day because she's a stay-at-home mom, so works 24/7. The thing is, all the things a stay-at-home mom does, she doesn't. Both kids are in school, and her husband Dan is the one that gets them ready, helps with homework, cooks all the meals, they have a cleaner. And Carol doesn't drive, so my mom picks kids up from school and looks after them till Dan gets home from work. Most weekends, Dan will bring the kids over to me. I live a 10-minute walk away, so Carol can have a break. So I don't have much sympathy for her, but most of the time I just let it go. But last week was half term. I was able to get most of the week off, but on Friday there was an emergency at work, so I needed to go in immediately. My husband was away, and my nanny and babysitter were busy, so I asked Mom if she could look after Oz as I had to go into work urgently, but she couldn't as she was looking after Rose. I asked where Carol was, and Mom told me she was at home but was feeling tired, so needed rest. I said that she could bring Rose over, but she couldn't as Rose had friends over for a playdate. But I took Oz and rushed over to Carol's house to beg Mom to take him. While I'm talking to Mom, Carol came down. I explained the situation, but she said that as Rose has friends over, it would be inappropriate for Oz to be there. So I asked why Mom couldn't take Oz back home for a few hours and Carol watched the girls. Carol seemed offended by the suggestion that she should look after her own child herself. And I had about had enough and knew this was just wasting time when I had to get to work. So I said, well, thanks for nothing, and left and took Oz to work with me. It worked out fine, but I was pissed with Carol. So today I went over to Carol's. I wanted to put the situation behind us and move on, but she brought it up. She said she was waiting for an apology from me. When I left, she told me I just don't get how hard being a stay-at-home mom is. I told her she doesn't even know what a hard job is, and that the fact she calls herself a stay-at-home mom is a joke, and that she's just lazy and selfish. I left and she told me that I'm not welcome back. Not at a-hole. As a stay-at-home mom myself, I do know how hard it is, but I have also worked a full-time job. Neither is easier than the other, and it sounds like the real problem is she's selfish and lazy, not with her workload. Not at a-hole. She's the worst. Also, why on earth would it be inappropriate to have friends over and a cousin? Yes, every one of my niece's birthdays was super inappropriate because she had friends over and her cousins. That's so annoying. Being a stay-at-home mom is so much work, but only if you actually work. She said that he would interfere with her game, and the girls were there to play with Rose, not a 2-year-old they didn't know. To be honest, I really didn't know what she was on about either. I think it was just an excuse not to have Oscar. Just for clarification, your mom has time to babysit your sister's kids, but absolutely cannot do so for you in the middle of an emergency. Really? We are not focusing enough on how unfair and enabling your mom is being. It isn't the first time my mom chose to babysit for my sister instead of me, when I asked first, so I stopped asking her. But I was desperate this time, so I went for my last resort. Next story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my sister's girlfriend upon being accused of not caring about their baby? My wife, 35 female, and me, 34 male, have been married for over 8 years, and have been trying to have a kid forever. We have suffered 3 miscarriages in the process, the most recent one being over 2 weeks ago. Now, my sister Ashley, name changed, left her abusive prick of a husband over a year ago and has been in a relationship with another woman, Brenda, name changed, for 8 months now. Over 2 months ago, Ashley gave birth to a baby girl. She came as a source of joy for all of us, considering that my wife was pregnant at the time too. However, around 2 weeks ago, my wife and I suffered our 3rd miscarriage. This was around the same time that Ashley began to behave strangely. She was constantly depressed, irritable, and weepy, and often attempted to drive the conversation away from her child and babies in general. These symptoms were there before too, but this was when they really began to come to light. It was then that she was diagnosed with PPD. Around 2 days ago, I decided to take my wife on a road trip to visit her parents to take her mind away from the miscarriage for a while. While we were packing for the trip, Brenda paid us a visit and asked us if we could help take care of the baby, as she wanted some quality time with Ashley. I knew that it would not do good for my wife's mental state to be around a baby right now, as it would trigger a lot of emotions. I kindly refused, and told Brenda that we were visiting her parents and we would not be available for a while. This really angered Brenda, and she began to call me out for being a selfish brother. She said that Ashley would never do this to me, and that we could never understand the problems they were going through, and at this point, taking a vacation and abandoning Ashley and the baby was extremely uncalled for. However, when she said that I did not care about the baby, that was the last straw. I countered saying that my wife already has enough on her plate to deal with, and she doesn't need Brenda's toxic vibes right now. I asked her to leave our house and take her negativity with her. Am I the a-hole for behaving the way I did with Brenda? Edit. To everyone who has been asking, Brenda and Ashley are both fully aware of the miscarriage and were in fact in the hospital at the time. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not at all. You took a stand for your wife. Your sister-in-law is being totally unreasonable and entitled and selfishly expecting you to watch their baby right after you suffered a miscarriage, and in refusing to even consider why taking care of a baby could be traumatizing for you too. They can hire a babysitter. Also, I'm really sorry for your loss, OP. Hugs. No, you don't get it. Only Ashley is allowed to have emotions. OP's wife should be grateful to still act as a parent/babysitter for a moment. This reminds me of when I had 3 kids under the age of 5. One was a newborn. It was keeping my neighbor's 2-year-old to make some money. My husband's sister had 2 kids and wasn't handling this well, so her husband thought I should help her out, because he couldn't be bothered apparently. That discussion didn't go well. Not a hole. Brenda thinks that demanding free childcare from a woman who just suffered a miscarriage is reasonable. While it's admirable for Brenda to want to support Ashley through her PPD, she is completely lacking in empathy for your loss. You did the right thing for your wife. Brenda is the next abusive partner OP's sister has attracted. Likely narcissistic, coming by to enjoy OP's pain and throw oil on the fire. Not Dale OP. Best to go low contact or no contact. Brenda was way out of line. I'm sorry Ashley was going through PPD, but your wife's, and your, loss was equally as devastating as your sister's PPD. Perhaps even more so. Both you and Brenda were protecting your significant other, but Brenda was going about it by being a nahal. You, on the other hand, were not a nahal. Not at all. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister make my son's birthday cake? My sister is an aspiring professional baker. She set up a Facebook business for it in 2018, and so far has not been able to build up much of a client/customer base. Part of the reason for this is she isn't the best decorator out there, and sometimes she's downright bad. Before setting up, back in 2017, she did taste and feedback tests with the family. She told us she wanted to know if/where she needed to improve and all that stuff. Cool. A couple of people told her she was great and that she should open her business because she'd be great. The rest of us, me, dad, older brother, younger sister, and my husband, all mentioned how she needed to lay off on the sugar a bit because holy freaking hell was she poisoning those cakes. And we mentioned she would need to refine her skills with the decorating side. She asked for specifics and we gave them. Especially on the kids' design because they were downright terrifying for kids. Tested on some of our kids. She didn't take it on board though, except for the sugar. She told us at the time we had overreacted to the designs and would see. My sister has 5 reviews on her profile. 3 of them are 1 star with the same feedback we gave about the appearance of the cakes. One woman had her 2-year-old cry when they saw the cake, and another had her 5-year-old say they were scared of it. The other one was more angry about it and did not hold back. The other 2 are 3-star reviews and say it could have been a lot better. It frustrates my sister. She tries to grow but doesn't listen to feedbacks. My son is turning 8 this year, and it will be his first friend party due to circumstances. My sister asked if she could do the cake. I told her we had already ordered one, which is true. She was hurt would it go to her over another baker. She offered to cover the cancellation fee, and I turned her down. Then she got mad. Said how can she build her business, the family won't even help her out and give her practice and a portfolio to build. I told her that she should start listening to the feedbacks she has received, instead of pressuring family to become guinea pigs for inventions. I also suggested she practice without getting an order, because it means she can provide a better quality product without using other people's money/celebrations to do it. She told me a good, not a prick, sister would give her the experience, and that it would mean so much more to my son to have a cake made by his loving aunt than some random baker. She has me feeling a bit bad because despite her telling me I'm a prick if I don't, I can see she's genuinely hurt we don't like her cakes enough to give her this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister does not have a business. She has a Facebook pipe dream. After 4 years, she needs to face reality that she's not capable of baking for profit. I think that's kinda where my frustration stems. She could make it a profitable business/side business if she put in the work to grow and improve in her weak area, decorating. It has never felt like she has put that work in. She expects to grow as she works, but people don't want to pay for that. Your sister is trying to walk before she crawls. She needs to refine her skills. No one wants a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Except me. I'm in bed and it's 3 a.m. Please bring me a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Now. Not a hole. As much as I hate to say it, some people got it, some people don't got it. She seems to fit into the latter category. She apparently needs a lot more practice before she entertains her dreams of branching out into a successful business. It may hurt her feelings, but you gotta be honest at times. Too much negative feedback in early stages can downright cripple a fledgling business. She needs to be 100% confident in her work and have a portfolio of cakes/treats that she has made that she can provide on request. My wife takes photos of every cake she makes, even just to kill time, and is building up quite a collection of photos. I agree. If she practiced and learned how to strengthen her ability in the decorating area of cake making, she could be doing a lot better, but she needs to put in the work to learn. Not everyone has a magical skill right off the bat. Am I the a-hole for kicking my parents out of my brother's birthday and refusing to give up my siblings? I, 25 male, live in a house of mine with my little siblings, 15 male, 12 female, and 11 male. My parents, 44 male and 43 female, got divorced 3 years ago. My father left to be with his lover. Then a month later, my mom showed up in my house. It is an inheritance. To ask me if I can have the kids for 2 days or 3 until she settled down. Because she was moving down to her boyfriend's house as well. It's been 3 years now, and all my siblings get from them is a visit once a week. They pay child support, doesn't help that much, but I haven't taken them to court. Now, 2 weeks ago, my brother turned 15. I hosted a party, my parents helped us to buy the cake and the sodas, and I invited them because, after all, they are still their parents. But I specified on the invitation that I didn't want to see their spouses because I simply don't like them. Anyway, they came with their spouses and stepchildren. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a scene. After all, it wasn't my birthday, and if my brother was okay with it, I was too. Everything became a mess at the family photo. I said I wanted a picture of me and my siblings together. My parents couldn't help in making it about them. My mom requested that her stepson should be in the picture too because he is also family. And my dad said that his stepdaughter should be there too, but also his wife because she's carrying a baby. I was shocked because of those random and nonsense comments. So I just couldn't keep it in and told them that they were selfish, irresponsible, narcissistic, terrible parents, and their requests were out of the question since those kids, I have nothing against them, are not our family. It will never be. I also told my dad he should have a vasectomy and not allowed to have more kids. Then I screamed, "And if you think I'll raise this too, you're wrong." My mom started crying, calling me rude. My dad's wife cried too, so I kicked them out. My siblings told them to go, so they both accused me of turning my siblings against them and were trying to take them by force, but they refused. Now, my mom and dad said they'll go to court to have custody back because I'm a bad example of disrespect and irreverence. In my country, the legislation allows my siblings to decide who they want to live with, and they say they'd pick me. My grandma, father's mother, said I should not have restrained my parents' authority over my siblings, and it's not my job to take care of them and that I should give them up to let my parents be responsible again. My father's brother said that I was the a-hole for making my mom and a pregnant woman cry. So am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Not even close. Deadbeat parents that abandon their kids can GTFO. You do you, young man, and keep those kids safe, just like you've been doing for 3 years. Best of luck to you. Agreed, and I would so take them both to court for proper child support. Not the a-hole. Your mother left her own children to be on their own and forced you to take responsibility. The same with your dad. Your little sibling are old enough to understand how you feel and probably feel like you do, left behind. I don't feel left behind because I can't miss what I never had. They didn't raise me. It was my mom's mom because they were too young and had to finish high school. But my siblings really feel left behind. Wait, so having kids they then abandon is a pattern with these people? Why even have kids? I have no idea why they keep having children, since it's proven they are not the best parents. I'm just sorry for the little child coming. I hope the new baby doesn't run the same luck. Not the a-hole. You should seek legal custody of the minors though, and an actual support order from your courts. OP, you really do need to make this legal. I'm sure it will relieve a lot of anxiety from your siblings too, if they know they can't just be uprooted back to the parents that couldn't be bothered to care for them for the last 3 years. You are their home now. Not the a-hole and actually a damn great human. Much love to your little family of siblings. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I'd testify against her if she sought full custody in her ridiculous hypothetical? My female 28, sister-in-law female 26, likes to play this stupid game where she brings up hypothetical scenarios or asks questions that she knows will make her upset if she doesn't get the specific answer she wants. I've asked her twice to stop involving me in this because I'm not typical, and my responses won't be to her liking. One of these scenarios, and she's serious about it, is that my brother should get an apartment where we currently live, so he can continue to work and provide for her and their kids, while she moves to a completely different state to live with her family. She's brought this scenario up with me at least 3 times and other family members even more. My brother is obviously against it. She doesn't want a divorce, she just wants this living arrangement. I asked who would have the kids, and she said she would expect to have them full-time because they are her kids. That he can come and fly and visit on his days off whenever he can squeeze it in. He is in a demanding field. This means maybe once a month, if that. I said that was messed up, and that nobody should interfere with a parent's access to their children unless the parent is truly dangerous and bad for the kid. She said she didn't see a problem with it. I told her that even though I love her, I'd encourage him to petition the court to at least get 50-50 custody. She lost it saying nobody will take her kids from her, that they belong to her. This is where I got pissed/snapped. She said, I wish he would take me to court. I have some dirt on him and I'd be happy to air everything out. Before this, it was just a stupid hypothetical, but this threat made me upset. And I told her I'd 100% be a character witness against her having them 100% of the time, especially given the way she talks about her dad, who she wants to live with, being mentally abusive, and that she refuses to seek therapy even though she admits she has problems that manifest in some very unhealthy behaviors/choices. That my brother deserves to be in his kids' lives 50% of the time if she wants to unnecessarily tear apart her family, and she could have them the other 50%. She told me to mind my business and not get involved. That is between her and my brother, and I have no right to insert myself in custody issues. After that, I was over it. Anytime she tried to prolong the fight with me, screaming at me, I just kept repeating, "Don't ask for my opinion on things if you don't want to hear the answer," as I packed my things and left. So, am I the a-hole for saying I testify against her in this ridiculous hypothetical she brings up all the time? After sitting on it for a bit, I feel somewhat bad for openly saying it, and angry at myself for feeding into her game that I constantly try to avoid playing. Even more so for getting visibly angry at a frigging hypothetical. But the truth is, if my brother tried to do that to her, I'd tell him the same thing. Now for the top comments. Not a hole. Jesus. I recommend telling your brother about this. She's crazy. He called me immediately after to ask what happened. I told him, but he knows she's brought this up to other people. He's aware she likes to rage bait with hypotheticals and questions she knows she won't like, and he just ignores it. He's very stoic, not philosophical version, and so he can look past it without an emotional response. To him, it's not real. And if it becomes real, he will take methodical steps to ensure his needs are met. This happened like 2 days ago, and I just had been ruminating on it. But the same day, one of the first things she said to me was, "If we didn't have kids, do you think your brother would still be with me?" I just told her to stop, and I'm not playing this game. I told her these questions highlight an extreme sense of insecurity, and that she needs to seek help to understand why she feels this way and work to resolve it. I can't count how many times I've told her she needs therapy. She has a tremendous amount of positives, but her unwillingness to seek help blocks her full potential. Then again, I'm constantly telling everyone they need therapy. I myself have a lot of trauma and mental health issues, which is why I have gone through extensive therapy and continue to seek it out. I also take medication. I am disappointed in myself because I completely backtracked in my emotional regulation during this discussion. Not a hole. I don't think it's hypothetical anymore. The first time she brought it up, maybe, but not now. Your brother should prepare for this to possibly happen. Does she take the kids go and visit her parents without him? She may go and not come back. I think that's why I got upset. The first time I heard it was when I was staying with my mom a couple of years ago, and she brought it up to me upset that she said it. I told her how I would have handled it. The first time she brought it up to me was unprompted, and she was talking to me as if my response would obviously be, "That's a great idea. I don't know why my brother wouldn't agree to it." This all started because I was talking about how I want to live separately from, but close to, any future partner I have for an extensive number of reasons. I listed the positives and mentioned how some of my friends who live with their partners started considering the pros of doing so with their own partners, but would never push this arrangement now because it is not their original agreement with their partner. She agreed and then brought up the scenario again. I told her it was completely different because 1, it's in separate states, and 2, there are children involved. No, she does not take the kids to go visit them without my brother, or without discussion presently. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my half-brother on a trip and refusing to share the start and end date?" My sister Pam, 29 female, and I, 22 female, are from our dad's first marriage. I live currently with Pam in another city while my dad, stepmom, and half-siblings stayed in our family home. Pam and I love to vacation, and I work extra jobs to save up so we can travel together. I want to mention I really do love my half-brother, 18 male, but I'm way closer with Pam. She's the closest person I have, and she has been a great big sister, taking care of me. My half-brother Jake has this sneaky thing he does. He'd hit me up and ask me to buy him something from the city we live in. The first time it was a video game that really could only be bought in the city I live in because there was an early release there or something. It was $100, and after sending it, he let me know he was short on cash and will repay me later on. I asked him 2 months later, and he just laughed awkwardly. I decided to let it go. He did it a few more times, pressuring me to buy stuff and send them over and never paid. On to the issue. Jake called me and asked if he could join Pam and I on our trip. I said sure, but our parents should buy him the ticket and pay for the hotel stay. Jake told me I can pay for it and he will pay me back. I told him I won't because that's over $600, and that's literally all I have left. He got annoyed and told me he'd pay. I said great, then do it and you can join. He got mad and said I was a bad sister for not paying now, as tickets or hotel availability might be gone in the next days, and I could clearly ask Pam to chip in. He said I'd do it for Pam, so I should do it for him. I felt bad, but refused again. He called me an a-hole and hung up. My stepmom and dad called and urged me to just book the hotel, which can be paid in full later, but I refused again. I said Jake should pay whatever Jake needs to pay. Pam backs me up, but my stepmom is upset and said I don't see Jake as a real sibling. Jake called me today and asked for the dates of the trip, and I said I no longer wanted him to come along since he was creating problems already before we leave. He pushed for the exact dates and time, and I again refused to give them. My stepmom has been blowing up my phone, and I have conveniently put it on silent. I feel like I went overboard. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And you can tell your stepmother that if your full sibling had a habit of asking you to buy things for her, telling you should pay you back and then not doing it, you wouldn't be eager to keep buying things for her either. It's not that Jake is a half-sibling, it's that Jake is a mooch. Exactly. Use the whole you don't see him as a real sibling as just an excuse. If it meant so much to stepmom and dad, they should have fronted the money. That's their kid. It's easier to tell OP and then talk crap when she said no. Truth be told, good on OP for standing up for herself. Not stay home, but have a simple conversation with stepmom and dad on the same call. Say you are sorry for the way this has blown up, but you were hurt that they are accusing you of not loving Jake. Explain how Jake has been taking advantage of you with the purchases. Exact amounts would be great. I've bought 4 things to the tune of $280 he still has yet to pay me for. And remind them you support yourself. Work extra jobs to be able to do that. And he created your lack of trust of being paid back. You don't appreciate being made out to be the bad guy when all you are doing is being practical and financially responsible as they taught you. If they want him to go, and they'd like you to pay up front and let him owe them the money, you might reconsider. But being blamed and badgered for his actions, and for him not learning the same financial responsibilities, is not helping. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking my niece and nephew with me on a trip to Colorado and refusing to change my plans to be able to bring them? I grew up in Colorado and we moved to boring Ohio before I could finish climbing all of the 14,000 feet peaks, and try to make it back every year or a few times a summer so I can knock the rest off my list. I have 9 left. Ellingwood, Blanca, Little Bear, Sunlight, Aeolus, Windham, Red Cloud / Sunshine, and my planned finisher, San Luis. The first 6 of these listed peaks are difficult climbs. The first 3 require a long backpacking trip in, and the second 2 do as well, and a train that may or may not run. Little Bear is considered one of the most difficult and dangerous, requiring ropes and helmets for most climbers. My brother heard that I'm planning a trip to Colorado and he wants me to take his kids with me. I said no flat out. I explained which mountains I planned, and he should have gotten the hint. But he told me that I should just switch the order I do them in and bring the kids with me in San Luis. I've planned a moonlight hike for San Luis forever. I want it to be just me in the sky. My brother has been saying that I don't spend enough time with the kids, that I make plans without considering anyone else's feelings or wants, and that I am stuck in adolescence and refuse to root in reality. The issue, I guess, is that he can't give the kids a full vacation this year because he's stuck at work, as is his wife. They don't have another option and are begging me to take the kids. Here's the thing. I'm a 26-year-old guy. I love my niece and nephew, but I have no interest whatsoever in changing my plans to bring kids with me on a trip. I plan to hike, drink beer at all the near breweries, go to some baseball games with friends I haven't seen in years, probably hook up with fit people because the options in Ohio are depressing AF, etc. I don't want to cut those plans to do a bunch of kid-friendly stuff. They expect me to just give up my trip and take the kids on the hiking equivalent of the bunny slopes. And I'm getting so much grief from all of my family about it, including my mom who said she agrees with my brother and that it's time to settle down. He also complained that the kids complain that they don't see me enough, which is crazy because I'm over at their house every few weeks. I haven't told anyone yet, but while I'm back in Colorado, I'm going to look for a place to live comfortably. I don't want to live in boring Cincinnati, Ohio for the rest of my life. This is a different issue, I guess. Anyway, am I the a-hole for not taking my niece and nephew out to Colorado with me because their parents can't do it? Not stay home. I like how settling down apparently means take care of someone else's responsibilities. I'm sure your niece and nephew say they wish they saw you more often. You are probably more fun than their own parents. That doesn't mean you have to take them on vacation or do anything else their parents are responsible for. Go live your life. Sounds to me like brother is jealous of the child-free/burden-free life OP is enjoying. That I make plans without considering anyone else's feelings or wants, and that I am stuck in adolescence and refuse to root in reality. In other words, stop doing fun things by yourself, because if I can't, then nobody should be able to. Not stay home, obviously. Go enjoy life. Not stay home. And why on earth would you take anyone's kids mountain climbing with you? You don't say how old the kids are, but based on your age, I'm going to assume they are far too young to go mountain climbing. Also, what kind of unreasonable a-hole expects a 26-year-old uncle to take a couple of little kids for a couple of weeks, out of state anyway? This is ridiculous. Go climb things and have fun. They're 13 and 16, so definitely not too young, but neither of them are even in physical condition to do this.